Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Before starting the video, please subscribe and keep watching for more details videos. Filipino tennis star Eala heads to Sao Paulo Open after U.S. Open debut. Manila, Philippines. Filipino tennis hotshot Eala is set to compete in Brazil after her U.S. Open debut. Hitting right after the U.S. Open that will end on September 8th, Eala will take her act to the Sao Paulo Open, which will run until September 14th. Eala is already in the list of the 32-player field alongside a familiar foe in American Hailey Baptiste. World number 68 Eala defeated number 51 Baptiste at the Eastbourne Open in London last June. Eala, 20, and Baptiste, 23, might clash again in the tourney, which is the first WTA tournament in the city of Sao Paulo since it hosted the Brazil Open in 2000. The other players who will see action in Sao Paulo, a WTA 250-level tourney, are British Jody Burrage, Turkish Berfu Cengiz, American Luisa Kiriko, and Russian Vitalia Diachenko. Eala last saw action at the National Bank Open in Montreal, Canada late last month, when she yielded to Czech Marketa Vondrousova 6-3, 1-6, 2-6 in the opener. The lefty Eala also incurred a left shoulder injury in the match, needing a medical timeout entering the third set. That injury didn't heal quickly, prompting Eala to withdraw her participation at the Cincinnati Open and at the Abierto GNP Seguros in Monterrey, Mexico. The aforementioned tournaments would have been a perfect build-up for Eala at the U.S. Open, where she will search for her first Grand Slam win. Eala resumed training last week, preparing at the Rafa Nadal Academy in Mallorca, Spain. When the bright lights of Flushing Meadows dimmed, and the buzz of the U.S. Open faded into echoes, Eala stood still for a moment under the New York night sky, racket in hand, sweat on her brow, heart pounding from her debut at one of the grandest stages in tennis. At just 19, she had carved her name among the world's best. But she wasn't done. Not even close. With a quiet resolve, she zipped up her Yonex bag, smiled at the thought of mangoes back home, and boarded a flight south, headed to a different kind of challenge. Next stop, the Sao Paulo Open, a journey beyond borders. For most, the U.S. Open is a pinnacle. For Eala, it was a beginning. Her first-round victory in New York had made headlines, not just in the Philippines, but across the tennis world. Commentators praised her fearless forehands, her court awareness, her calm under pressure. In the second round, she faced a seasoned veteran and pushed her to 3 hard-fought sets. It was a loss on paper, but a win in experience. As she touched down in Brazil, the vibe was completely different. Gone were the skyscrapers and the roaring stadiums. In their place, red clay courts, somber rhythms, and the scent of tropical rain. The Sao Paulo Open wasn't part of the Grand Slam circuit, but it was a proving ground, a tournament with grit, legacy, and fierce competition. It was where young stars solidified their place among professionals. Brazil is a canvas, Alex said, and I'm here to paint my game. Clay courts were never her first love. Growing up in Manila, she trained mostly on hard courts, but years of junior ITF tournaments had made her adaptable. Her feet had danced across red clay in Europe and Latin America before, and now she was ready to do it again, this time as a rising WTA pro. The city, the court, the calling. Sao Paulo welcomed her with a drizzle and 100 flashing cameras. Local press were intrigued. A Filipina prodigy, making waves across the globe? There was something poetic about it. At the practice courts, Alex was focused. Her team, led by her Spanish coach, set the tone early. The spin, the slide, the grind. It was all about patience on clay. She practiced her drop shots, her looping topspin forehands, her movement across the baseline, and she trained harder than most. Off court, she mingled with fans, posed for photos, and even spoke a few words of Portuguese, earning smiles and applause. But her mind remained on her goal, not just to win, but to grow. Flashback, from Manila to the world. Eala's story had always been one of defying odds. At age 12, she won her first major junior title. By 15, she had lifted a Grand Slam girls doubles trophy. Her left-handed style, aggressive baseline play, and steely focus set her apart. She wasn't just the best in the Philippines, she was one of the best in the world for her age. Her decision to train at the Rafa Nadal Academy in Spain had marked a turning point. There, she trained among future stars, learned to speak Spanish, and adapted to the rigorous European tennis culture. The clay became her ally. The grind became second nature. Sao Paulo heats up. The Sao Paulo Open kicked off under the humid sun. The draw was tough. Her first-round opponent was an experienced Argentinian clay courter, known for punishing rallies and mental warfare. But Alex was undeterred. She stepped onto the court with poise, clad in her signature visor, her nation's flag embroidered on her sleeve. The match began with long exchanges, but Alex held her own. Her drop shots left the crowd gasping. Her backhand slices floated like whispers, and her forehands hit like thunder. In a dramatic three-set battle, she emerged victorious. Sweat-soaked but smiling, she shook hands at the net and waved to a small Filipino flag fluttering in the stands. More than a game. As she advanced through the rounds, the tennis world took notice again. ESPN Brazil aired a segment on her. A nova estrela do tennis asiático. They called her the new star of Asian tennis. Social media buzzed with praise. Back home, Filipino fans tuned in despite the time difference, leaving messages like, "Para sa bayan Alex. Kaya mo yan Eala. From US Open to Brazil, we're with you." It wasn't just about tennis anymore. It was about representation. The semifinal storm. By the semifinals, Alex was facing a top-seeded Brazilian in front of a loud, partisan crowd. The air was electric. Drums beat in the stands. Flags waved. It was like a football match, not tennis. But Alex was calm. She lost the first set 3-6, struggling with the crowd and the opponent's relentless defense. Her shots were rushed, her serve shaky. But during the changeover, she closed her eyes, took a deep breath, and remembered something her grandfather once told her. Play like you're writing a love letter to the game. In the second set, she slowed things down. She mixed up her shots, found a rhythm. The crowd began to quiet, watching, not shouting. The match turned into art. She won the second set 6-4. Then, in a grueling third set that stretched past 2 hours, she broke serve at 5-5 and held for the win. The crowd stood. Even the Brazilians applauded. Respect had been earned. A champion's mindset. Though she would eventually fall in the finals to a seasoned WTA top 50 player, Alex's journey in Sao Paulo was a triumph in every other sense. In her post-match press conference, she smiled and said, "This tournament taught me how to suffer better, how to love the hard days, how to respect the clay. Every tournament is a chapter, and this was a beautiful page." When asked what's next, she didn't hesitate.